So obviously there are several layers into the topic that we'll be speaking about. It's something that should be studied, not necessarily something that's going to be covered in one lecture. But what we can do here is we can discuss everything from the Islamic perspective mainly, because if we were to come outside of the Islamic perspective, it's going to be a much wider forum that we have to cover, which we can discuss that too. But the main thing that I would appreciate is if we give and take ideas, questions, opinions, statements. Not all the answers have to come from me. Maybe someone wants to say something to someone else. Maybe a sister has something she wants to share. A brother writes that down, says, replies to that. And it's a healthy discussion. And the main thing we want to do here, the main thing we want to do, inshallah, is we have to be sincere. Yani, I'm not coming here to prove a point to you. Okay? I'm not coming here just to drill something down your throat. I'm going to give you what I know. But I'm hoping to learn something too. I'm sure there's something that I can learn and something that you guys can learn. So the first thing we have to do is not come here in a way where, I'm coming here to fight a feminist, or I'm coming here to fight a meninist, or whatever else you want to call an ist these days. So, the first question, of course, that I'm going to ask everyone believes in Allah here, right? Inshallah? Okay. Everyone believes in the Quran? Everyone believes in Rasulullah? Okay, fantastic. So then, the questions that we're going to be asking are going to be within the realm of Islam. And the answers I'm going to be giving are going to be within the realm of Islam. So when you tell me who said so, say Allah said so. If you weren't a Muslim, then that would make no sense. If I was not speaking to someone who believed in the Quran or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then I cannot come and tell you, well, in Islam the Quran says this, or in Islam the scholars say this. That doesn't make sense. But because we're all Muslims here, then this is the source of what we're talking about. And alhamdulillah, I'm really glad that this many people showed up, even though I would have preferred and appreciated a lot more people to show up, because especially in this community, it's happening in all communities, especially in this community, there seems to be a lot of controversy surrounding this topic. The topics of male and female roles and hijab, and why does the man get to do this, or why does the woman get to do that, or why am I expected to do this, and so on. Questions you hear all the time. And of course, we all know about this. We've all been trying to deal with it. And the problem is that there is an intense lack of knowledge when it comes to the subject. Like, whether we like it or not, as boring as it is, if someone finds it boring, because it's not the most entertaining thing to come to a lecture and discuss, maybe someone just wants to watch a game of football or the World Cup or whatever else. As boring as someone might find it, it's not fair that you voice your opinion on something without seeking knowledge about that thing. It's not fair that you just say something and then you move on. It's not fair that you cause problems in a community and then you move on without actually diligently, sincerely engaging in proper discussion. It's not fair. So, if we are going to voice our opinions, it's not just هيدا رأيي شو رأيك هيدا رأيك شو رأيي أنا ما خلص. It's not about what's your opinion, what's my opinion. We're all entitled to an opinion. We don't have that in Islam. In Islam, we don't have we're all entitled to an opinion. Islam is not university. You can say this and I can say that, and that's your opinion. No. In Islam, there's something called truth. There's something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. And the people who can have an opinion and a difference of opinion within Islam are people who are أهل الخبرة, أهل الحل والعقد, people who seek knowledge. That's when you can have an opinion. You can ask as many questions as you want. And if you want to have an opinion, seek knowledge and you can have an opinion. But you can't just come and say, I have an opinion, and you don't discuss and you don't engage. This is in every field. Yani. This is all just the introduction to what we're going to speak about, because we have to just have an understanding of how to approach this topic first. And the fact that you're here is very important, and I'm very thankful that you're all here. If you were having a heart surgery, you would only want a proper heart surgeon to perform the surgery on you. Okay, you would not accept any anatomy student that's been reading a few books at university for a couple years, right? If the heart surgeon has been doing this for 20 years and then he has an opinion, and another kid comes along, he's read a few books, he has an opinion, he's watched some YouTube videos of surgeries, he's like, no, you're doing it wrong, mate. That's not how you do it. My opinion tells me What does the guy on the surgery table think about that guy's opinion? Doesn't matter. He wants khalas. Leave the doctor to do his business. He knows what he's doing. He's a man of knowledge, and he's been engaged in this field of work for a long time. You've just read a few books. If you want to have an opinion, engage in surgery, perform some surgeries, have some experience under your belt, bring me your opinion. Okay? So, this is not silencing anyone. You can have an opinion in terms of asking a question, but an opinion in terms of Islam should be like this or Islam should be like that. We don't have that. We don't have that. Again, I want to just reiterate so no one misunderstands me. I'm not saying you can't say anything that's on your mind. You can speak your mind and you can ask any question you want sincerely. But you can't come with already a preconceived notion of what truth is and drill it down everyone's throat and cause problems in the community for everyone when people are just trying to bring a community, an Islamic community at the end of the day together based on Islamic principles, and then you mess everything up and then you walk off. And you don't want to engage in seeking knowledge, as boring as you may find it. Then if you find it boring, then you shouldn't be voicing your opinion when it comes to such issues. So that's just there, inshallah, put that out there. And we're going to be now sharing our opinions because we're trying to reach not our opinions on what they are, 100% and no heck. No. We're going to be sharing our opinions now on how we can tackle these issues together. Together, okay? So please, inshallah, everyone open your heart. Okay? So we can help each other, no judgments. A lot of issues, the smallest, tiniest things come out. Like, for example, we had a barbecue 2 days ago, right? And we had this pool where you can dunk people in, and I got dunked. Many guys got dunked, but no girls were dunked. Okay, so of course some girls are like, well, why can't we get dunked? Why do only the boys get dunked? I want to be dunked too. And this, I'm just using this as the most ridiculous example, but it's an example. And then you can begin to explain it. Well, sister, when a guy is dunked and his shirts are wet, and when a girl's dunked and her shirts are wet, it's a different vibe. At the end of the day, we are in Canada. At the end of the day, we're communities in Canada, Australia, Britain, America. Okay, we don't have the ideal situation here where we can just segregate the genders completely, which is Islamically more ideal. And I'm sure when it comes to your own lives, when you're married, you would agree. Before marriage, maybe you don't agree. But when you're married, you agree. When you don't want your wife or husband mixing around with the opposite gender, just take randomly. And for what reason? This is why I'm asking you to open your hearts so that you can really ask yourselves sincerely and be honest with yourselves on these questions that I will ask you. And I want to tackle everything. And you can talk about everything here. Inshallah, this is an open forum. And just be honest, this is the problem, and let's see how we can solve this problem. Let's talk about gender mixing. Why can't we mix? Let's talk about things that guys can do that girls can't do, or vice versa, or whatever. Let's talk about that now. I'm going to talk about it in the beginning from a philosophical perspective, okay? Because, as I said, knowledge is the issue, and a lot of the time we're talking about the things that appear from the outside, hijab, gender mixing, all these controversial issues. But there is a much deeper understanding of why we live with these rules that we live in. Why are these the rules of Islam? Who said that this is how the man has to be and this is how the woman has to be? Why? In Islam, there is a set standard of a role of a woman and a role of a man, but it's based on a philosophical understanding. So it's going to be, this is why I mentioned it's not going to be a normal lecture, it's going to be philosophical, so it's quite deep. So inshallah, but I'm sure no one here is going to be left behind, but we're going to be working together. If there's any question, I will reiterate it. I'll say the explanation 10 times. I won't go home until everyone's with me. So we are in a modern society now. In this modern society, there are these main notions which people build the society around. Equality and democracy. These magic words. Equality, democracy. And to promote these words, equality and democracy, these notions, what we have to do is we have to bring everything down into a common denominator. So everything has to be the same. We all have to be equal. We all have to be have these things in common. It has to be the same. What that does when it comes to gender is it causes chaos in a society when the masculine and the feminine become mixed. And if a man doesn't know how to be a man anymore, which is the case a lot of the time, and a woman doesn't know how to be a woman anymore, which is the case a lot of the time now, these days, it forms chaos in a society because it hits directly the family. Directly, it hits the family, the structure of a family, which is family is a symbol of society. So if you're hitting the family, the structure of the family through man and woman, then you are damaging society from the Islamic perspective. Okay? The Islamic perspective is against this perspective which is saying everything has to have a common denominator, where you bring everything down to the same. Within Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you in pairs. He says He created us in pairs, which means that logically, if you create a pair, then they're different. Otherwise, they're not a pair. That means there are two things, and there are some things they don't have in common. Otherwise, it's not a pair. Tfaddal. Inshallah, yes, of course, it's complementary. And there's the relationship between man and woman is a complementary relationship in Islam. But pair, just pair. Like we say pair of shoes, right? A pair of shoes, because the right shoe is not the same as the left shoe. Okay, I'm not going to put my right foot in the left shoe. So we say a pair of shoes. So, حشاكم يعني, نحن we're human beings, but we are also pairs. Man and woman. And what's happening now is the spirit of man and woman are being directly attacked because we don't know how to be men and women anymore. I need you right now to empty completely your cup of knowledge of what you think is true. Okay? Whatever opinions you have, empty that just for now, just so that we can fill it with something new right now. So don't attack me for what I'm saying. Don't anticipate replying to what I'm saying. Don't wait to say, no, you're wrong. Give me a chance and let me just say what I'm going to say and listen to it. And if it doesn't make sense to you, ask whatever you want to ask. If it makes sense, alhamdulillah. So, Islam is saying, first of all, you two are different. That's the first thing that is going against modern society's view of equality and democracy. In Islam, women and men have equality in one thing only. They have equality in spiritual deliverance to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. With Allah, in the akhirah, in the a'mal that you do, in your actions, we are equal. We have equal opportunity, yani. An equal opportunity to be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inshallah, the questions, we can do it afterwards. I just want to say the speech and then we do the questions, inshallah. Thank you. So, we have equal opportunity with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Each one of us with Allah has the opportunity. Man is not favored and woman is not favored. In dunya, this world of, you say they call it dunya, why? Because it's al-alam al-dani. It's the lowest world. It's the world of physical limitations. There are several worlds, al-malakut, wal-jabarut, wa-alam al-mithal, wal-barzakh, wal-akhirah. Several worlds. We are in one of these worlds, the outer layer of the world, the lowest world, al-dunya. World of limitations. In this world of limitations, we have been manifested. Human beings. Man and woman. First of all, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He speaks about insan, this is gender neutral. Okay? Insan. Ya ayyuhal insan. Nas. Not speaking to man or woman. When we speak about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're not speaking about masculine or feminine. The Quran has names for Allah, and the name Ism al-A'zam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ism Jalala, and all His names, His different names, which we're going to be basing our lecture on right now. Mainly in the Quran, when you speak about Allah, when He's in terms of in third person, when you say He, what do we say? Huwa. We say Huwa, right? La ilaha illa hu. We don't say Hiya. But that doesn't mean masculine Huwa. So we're going to be speaking about Arabic grammar here. The Arabic grammarians agree that the words they use within Arabic, huwa, here, is gender neutral as well. It's not because it's a masculine term. It's the default term. Yani, sometimes the Quran may refer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as that. right? Out of respect though, you don't say it. You don't call Allah it, subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we say huwa, la ilaha illa hu. We don't call him father, like in Christianity. Okay? In Christianity, there is more of this sense of although in Islam there is patriarchy, and we'll speak about that. There is more of this patriarchal sense when it comes to God, being the father. But in Islam, we don't have that. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ. Right? He's no father. He doesn't have a son. He's not a father to any son. He hasn't begotten any children. He's not father of any of us. He is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala above all gender. So first of all, we don't have that problem within Islam. Allah has no gender. Allah has no body. Allah is not man or woman or any of that. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does have though are masculine and feminine names. These names which have been derived from the words that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used within the Quran, from the words that the Prophet and the Imams called Allah upon with, and from his attributes, the things that he does in the world, his actions. Several of these names. He has loads of names, and we all know about Allah's 99 names, right? But he has even more names than that. There are several names. 99 names is in one of the hadith, but there are many names you can call upon Allah with. And you can connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through his different names. He has different names for different things. Allah is one. Allah isn't a body. Allah is not split into parts. Allah is one. He is simple. As in, he's not in parts. You can't take a part of him away. But he has these names. Yani, which names am I talking about? When we say Bismillah, Al-Rahman, Al-Rahim, those are some of his names. Okay? Depending on which name you need, sometimes you're in a situation, you'd call upon a certain name. This is the power that you want to manifest right now. This is what you want to see in your life. When you're in trouble and you call out, Ya Fattah, okay, open the doors for me. Okay? So you're calling upon the right names. Yani, when I'm sick, I'm a big baby when I'm sick. Okay? My wife would tell you guys that. And it's funny, I'll be sick and I need to call upon God's strong names when I'm sick. So I just shout, Ya Jabbar! And I feel better. But it's a very powerful name. So I'm like, Ya Shadidul Iqab. Then my wife gets scared. She goes, No, Ya Ra'uf, Ya Rahim. Right? But then we have to balance that out. She balances it out. So depending on what situation you're in, you would call upon those names. Allah's names are split into two. Everything is like this. Everything's in cycles. Yeah? You have summer, you have winter. You have man, you have woman. You have yin, you have yang. Okay? You have these reflections, these cycles. Everything is this way. With Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's names, it's the same thing. You have the names of beauty and the names of majesty. That's the category of God's names. So God is one. Then you split the names into two. The names of Jamal and the names of Jalal. Okay? Jamal and Jalal. Is everyone with me so far? Good. Jamal and Jalal. Beauty and majesty. Those are the two reflections. Those are the two main categories of God's attributes. And then they are manifested into the world. What are some of the names of Jamal? Like I just mentioned, right? Why when I'm sick, I call out the names of Jalal. Then my wife called out the names of Jamal to balance it out. Because maybe the names of Jalal are scary sometimes. So you say Al-Jabbar, the forceful one. Al-Hakim, the judge. Al-Qawi, the strong. These are all names of Jalal, names of majesty. Okay? They are more absolute. They have an absolute personality to them. Whereas the names of Jamal, like what? Al-Ra'uf, the kind one. Al-Rahman, Al-Rahim. These, the most merciful. These names are more beautiful names, kind names. Al-Rahman, the merciful. This is what you call upon when you want to be forgiven for your sins. You don't call upon Al-Jabbar when you're doing tawbah. You're scared right now. You call upon Al-Wadud, Al-Ra'uf, Al-Rahman, Al-Rahim. So these are the different categories. And the names are split. That's why you have heaven, you have hell. You see this dichotomy? This is all throughout the Islamic tradition. This is even outside the Islamic tradition. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from that world, the real world, he manifested into this world. What did he manifest? He manifested the names of Jamal and the names of Jalal. How? The names of Jamal manifested into Eve, and the names of Jalal manifested into Adam. And so Jamal became woman, and Jalal became man. Okay? And this all came from the names of God, the one God. What is the purpose of Islam? The purpose of Islam, before everything, salat, before everything that we do, fasting, or Shahr Ramadan, all the stuff that we talk about, before all these rules, the purpose of Islam is to become closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what the whole point is. All the things we do are just techniques so that we may achieve the goal of being close to Allah. This is why I asked in the beginning, you believe in Allah? Okay, good. You believe in the Quran? Good. You believe in the Prophet? Good. Why? Because if you don't want to get to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you haven't really understood Islam. If you don't want to be close to Allah, so if anyone asking is, why should I? Well, because you want to be close to Allah, right? And now we're explaining to you what that means. So if you are asking yourself why, then know there is a problem in your creed that you have to tackle. Because you're asking, why should I? If you don't want to be close to Allah, you haven't understood what Islam is. Islam is about being close to God. And all of you want to be close to God, you just don't know it yet. Because you want to be close to something. And whether it's money, whether it's the opposite gender, whether it's fame, whether it's power, you think that that's God. But human beings, the fitrah, pushes them towards going to worship or being close to something. The fact is, we were born to be close to Allah. That's the point. That's the actual truth that we're supposed to go towards. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to come back to Him. How do we come back to know the One? And this, by the way, this is the explanation as to why Islam cannot accept homosexuality. An actual homosexual girl was actually asking me last year. She's like, why? Why are you Muslims against it? And I said, I'll explain to you from my perspective. Okay, I said, I'm a Muslim, of course. My main aim in life is to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, I understand. And then I explained this. Allah has names, Jamal and Jalal. Names of beauty and majesty, they were manifested into this world. The names of Jalal became man. The names of Jamal became woman. So majesty became man and beauty became woman. So man is absolute and woman is infinite. That's what it is, infinity and absoluteness. Okay? How do I get to know Allah? One, Tawheed. How do I come back to Tawheed, to one? I must bring Jamal and Jalal together. You understand? You see where I'm going with this? So, by the way, man has Jamal in him. Doesn't mean you're completely Jalal. No. You have feminine aspects within yourself. You have Jamal. And woman has Jalal. But the predominant is Jalal, and the predominant in woman is Jamal. And the way that you are to bring them together to be complementary, as the brother was saying, how do we complement each other? Tawheed. You have to bring Jamal and Jalal together. You can't be, this is what homosexuality is. What's homosexuality? It's an imbalance. It's too much Jalal or Jamal. You can't have that. You can't have Tawheed with just beauty or just majesty. You need to bring beauty and majesty together. And then you understand what intercourse is. That's what it is. To be married and for man and woman to bring their bodies together is a very spiritual thing. It's been reduced to something that's nasty and disgusting and people make a business out of it. Astaghfirullah, yani. This is what's happened. Unfortunately, they've taken something so sacred. It's so sacred. And they've made it into something dirty in society. And they've completely destroyed our souls with the understanding of gender, with pornography, with promiscuous images all over the place. And then you're just confused. No wonder people don't know if they're men and women anymore. This is not how it was supposed to be. It's not how Adam and Eve were brought in. This is the spirituality of man and woman being together. This is what it means, to find God. One of the times that dua is most accepted is when man and woman are together. When their bodies are together. That's one of the times in the narrations, it says, do dua. If you look at, and this reflects in fiqh. When you talk about hijab, when you talk about gender segregation, you're talking about fiqh. I'm talking about here the irfani or philosophical explanation of the perspectives of gender within Islam. When you're talking about the outer layers, you're talking about the fiqh, the rulings, the laws. The laws are supposed to reflect the philosophy of what we're talking about here, of these gender roles. And we're going to get more into this. And even in the fiqh, you see the reflections, the first night of marriage between man and woman, how it's supposed to be, how it's mustahab for the man to wash the feet of his wife, and he puts his hand on her head and he does a certain dua so that the baby can come in a certain. This is creation. How was the world created? The world, we say, came from Allah's mercy, right? It was Allah's mercy that created the world, Allah's rahmah. What's rahmah? What kind of name? Ism, Jamal, right? So the world came from beauty. Man is surrounded by feminine aspect. His creation comes from the feminine, rahmah. What is your womb called in Arabic? Rahm. Your rahm, the woman's womb is a manifestation of God's rahmah. Man doesn't have the womb. The rahm comes from rahmah. And then, subhanallah, it creates. So then it goes back to Al-Khaliq, the creator. The same way Allah created us from His mercy. So man is surrounded by the feminine. He's overcome by it, encompassed by it. And man is supposed to learn from women these feminine aspects that will complete him to go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah gave man certain dominion over women in this dunya. They have different roles, which we're going to speak about. The fact that they're different, they have different roles. Man had dominion over women. But man, over history, over civilization, rebelled against Allah. Man rebelled against God. Man let power come to his head. Man's ego took over. So man was destroyed. And as woman watched on and saw man rebel against God, woman rebelled against man. Instead of woman staying in the way that she was supposed to be, she saw the hypocrisy of man and decided, he rebelled against God, I will rebel against man. And then you have society as it is today, where we don't know what we are anymore. And man wants to become woman, and woman wants to become man. Something else even. So, I don't know. So, this is the situation that we are in right now. But if you look in the philosophical understanding, this is what it is. And this is why there has to be different roles. And so you come to the issues that we always talk about. Gender segregation, separation, hijab, etc. You look at other narrations, and you see there's a famous narration of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi where he says that he has 3 favorite things in life. 3 favorite things. This is why, by the way, when you see a hadith and you think this is simplistic, or you think the Prophet could never have said this, take a minute and read again and see what could be the different perspectives of what he's saying. Because when he says his 3 favorite things, what are they? As-salat, prayer, tib, perfume, and al-nisa, women. Okay? And I can just see a feminist reading that and saying, what? This is your Prophet? Perfume, prayer, and women? Who does he think he is? Etc., etc. So, if you are to look at this in a different understanding, let's look at the grammar of the words. Salat and nisa are both feminine. Prayer is feminine. Nisa is feminine. So he's correlated prayer with nisa, of course, because woman has more that feminine aspect of her is more in touch with herself than man is. That's what man had to learn. That's why woman can be more potentially spiritual than man inherently. Yani, just look at how your mom speaks to you and how your dad speaks to you. Okay, I call my mom, Kifak Habibi, did you eat? Did you sleep? Where did you sleep? How did you sleep? What did you eat? Are you hot? Are you cold? Who did you have iftar with? I call my dad, Kifak, mash al-hal, okay, bye, salam. Why? Why? Subhanallah, look, everyone laughed because we all get it. Because we all have it in common. Because There is a general way that man is and a general way that a woman is. We all know it. That's why we all laugh. If you are saying no, wallah, you're lying to yourself, man. And Jad, we're just lying to ourselves. Because popular culture doesn't want to accept it. And if you speak to individuals, they'll tell you their honest opinion. But in popular culture right now, the fandom, if you will, what's in common, what's popular, what's in fashion, is that we're all equal. Man, woman can do the same thing, and it's the same thing, and it's the same thing. But it's not the same thing. We all know it's not. You all just laughed. That's a proof that it's not. You guys have seen that meme when it looks like all the missed calls from all different people, relationships in your family, right? Like how long you speak to your dad, 1 minute. How long you speak to your mom, 5 minutes. How long do you speak to all these things? And then from your wife, it's like 16 missed calls. And then from your, all these different, why? They're basically doing stereotypes. They're making fun of stereotypes. Where do stereotypes come from? They come from this common understanding of what this thing is. There is a way that men are and a way that women are. And I remember when I was speaking to a friend of mine, and his wife was a feminist. And by the way, I know there are several different types of feminists, and we're not, I'm in a lecture right now, I'm not going to get into all that. We can speak about it though. I know, mainly what I'll speak about is liberal feminists. But in any case, so she was a feminist, and then she was saying, who said that I am more emotional? Who said I'm more emotional than man? So I said, well, of course, I was trying to explain through the names of Jamal, but she disagreed. A few weeks later was my engagement, and I gave a speech, and she started crying. And I just stopped, and I said, you're not emotional? She's like, not now. Right? But subhanAllah, see, I waited. But see, we can lie to ourselves. Of course, not everyone's the same. There are some women who are not emotional, and some men who are very emotional. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about individual instances. I'm talking about al-nawa'. I'm talking about the category. I'm talking about masculine and feminine as what they are supposed to be. The problem is, guys, and the reason why so many of you are having trouble getting married is because, I'm sorry, it's really hard to find a proper man and a proper woman anymore. Asaf, many men are in crisis of masculinity. It's a crisis. And how can I be masculine? There's fear. We're scared. Men are scared. They're scared to be attacked now. And woman has become too predominantly masculine, if you will. She wants to take over. So then the man is not attracted and the woman is not attracted. And we can talk about that more too. But these are problems that are happening. So to go back to the Prophet's hadith, that before I went on my rant, he says, Nisa and Salat. He correlates prayer with women. And then in between them is Tib, perfume, which is also has an exotic connotation in the Quran, perfume. If you look at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about fragrances in the Quran. So Tib is masculine, in between the two feminines. Okay? This is the polarity that we're going to speak about now. What is the thing that human being wants the most in life? We say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sure. But what about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What is it in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are all gravitating towards our entire lives? In Arabic, it's called al-Dhat. Dhatullah. The essence of God. The essence of God which no one can ever reach. No one reaches it. Even the Prophet, when he went on Mi'raj, دَنَا فَتَدَلَّ فَكَانَ قَابَ قَوْسَيْنِ أَوْ أَدْنَى. He was 2 bows length or less, but he didn't get to that. The essence of God, you can't contemplate upon it. You don't know what the essence of God is. But it is so magnetic, humanly magnetic. It's always pulling you towards it. Your whole life. Everything you do is because you love kamal, you love perfection. Hubbul kamal. You might see it in different things, but you love something. That love is a hujjah on you, but that's coming from your love really of Dhatullah, of the essence of God, which you can never reach. What is the lowest thing in mankind? The lowest thing. So the highest thing is that. And what's important about that is al-Dhat is feminine. Okay? Al-Dhat, that is a feminine, it's feminine, grammatically feminine within Arabic. A feminine word. That. That at the end. So, when it comes to the lowest thing that human beings have in the world, it's al-nafs, self. We always see the narrations, the prophets, the imams. Your greatest enemy is the self. Jihadun nafs. Jihadun nafs. Jihadul akbar. Right? More than the war is when you fight yourself. The one in between your two sides is your enemy. Etc. Etc. Why? Al-nafs is that thing. Al-nafs al-amarat bis-su'. That thing which makes you go towards evil. Which wants more. That greed. A sexual desire. The love of power. Anger. It's all nafs, crazy, chaos. So you have to move away from that nafs, right? The nafs is also feminine. Have the greatest thing. So salat, nisa, the tib in between. Here you have al-that, and you have al-nafs, and then we're in between. And then which one do we go to? Okay. What are the characteristics of both? They're both feminine. But you look at al-that. What does al-that do? Al-that is hidden from everyone. You want to understand what hijab is? Then you have to listen up now. If you are a woman, then you are the manifestation of the beautiful attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether you like it or not, you are the beauty. That's what you are. If you feel that this is something that brings your existence down, I'm sorry. Within the Islamic perspective, woman is the beauty counterpart. And when you look at the representations of al-that and al-nafs, she has to choose which one she wants to reflect in this world. You can reflect al-that and you can reflect al-nafs. Al-that is hidden from everyone. Al-that doesn't show itself. Al-that only comes, it shows glimpses, gives certain people visions. Who are these people? Those who deserve, those who struggled in life to attain this high spiritual station. That can show them glimpses. Shows them glimpses of beauty, and then it pulls back again. But you never really see it. You never see her. I'm going to say her. You never see the essence of God. But she might show you glimpses. She might show glimpses to one who is worth it, to one who stayed, to one who struggled for her. Okay, why do you think the Arafat, the men of God, what do they write when they speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their poetry? What do they call Allah? They call Allah Layla. You know the poetry of Qais wa Layla? Layla wa Qais, the great love story. Okay. Qais loves Layla so much, Qais becomes Majnoon. He becomes crazy, and then it becomes Layla wa Majnoon. And then all these men of God, what do they write? They write to God, they quote God Layla, and they say, I have become your Majnoon. You see how Allama Tabatabai, look at what he writes to God, you think, what? He starts talking about your rosy cheeks and bring me out of the bewilderment of the ocean. And it's as if he's talking to a lover. That's what it's supposed to be though. You look into the narrations, you look into the philosophers, you look into everything, it's all about love. That's what it is, love. That's what we're supposed to be like with God. We're supposed to love. It's supposed to be a love. When the Prophet's names, you look, Isa Ruhullah, Musa Kalimullah, the one who spoke to God, Isa Ruhullah, the Spirit of God. You look at all their names. Ibrahim Khalilullah, the friend of God. And then you look at Rasulullah, what's his name? Habibullah, right? The beloved of God. It's the path of love. In kuntum tuhibbun Allah fattabi'uni yuhibbukum Allah. If you claim to love Allah, follow me, Allah will love you. It's a path of love. That's what it's called. When you meet Allah, liqa'ullah, the meeting of God, you know what they call it? Al-khalwa, bayn al-ashiqi wal-ma'shuq. This is finally, when the lover and the beloved are alone. Finally, this is what it was all about. Just meeting the beloved. Meeting God. That's what it's supposed to be about. It's supposed to reach stages where we talk about ishq. Ishq. You know, and they say, dawa'ul ishq al-ittisal. The medicine, the cure of ishq is to be connected. So ishq, they're saying, is a sickness. The one who has love is sick. All he wants to do is meet the one that he loves. And this is why we always say, for example, how could you not pray Fajr? If the girl that you liked was messaging you at 2 a.m., wouldn't you go see her? You'd stay outside the whole night, right? But you don't want to wake up at 4 a.m. for Allah. For example, it comes from here. Because you know that you love this girl, but what's that love supposed to be for a girl? A man's love for a woman is only ishq majazi. It's a metaphorical ishq. It's supposed to be showing you, it's a symbol of what ishq haqiqi is supposed to be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a hujjah against us. Love for each other is a hujjah on us. In front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God knows that you loved. But that love was supposed to be for God. Al-qalbu arsh al-Rahman. The heart is the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're not allowed to let anyone else into the heart except God. But you guys know that famous Imam Ali hadith, right? I sat at the gate of my heart and I didn't let anyone in except Allah. Because Allah is supposed to be the beloved, Layla. And then they look at the that, they want to go, but what does the that do? You can't catch her. Hard to get. Far away. She only shows herself to one who deserves. Not herself. Glimpses of beauty. Not even herself. What about the nafs? The nafs can either be too hideous to show to anyone, or is the nafs that wants attention. Look at me, I'm here, everyone. It wants to be the center of everything. Hijab in the dunya is the understanding of if woman is the manifestation of Allah's beauty, then she must cover herself just like Allah covers himself. If the that of Allah is covered from all, then the woman's beauty is covered from all. Hijab, I'm not talking about a headscarf here. I'm talking about hijab of everything, the entire body. Who's the only one that can see her? Her husband. The one who deserves it, who works all day and night to sustain her and his children. This is the understanding. Now, when you think of hijab, when you think of gender separation, when you think of all these things in Islam, why? Seek knowledge. Wallah, seek knowledge. I'm pretty sure a lot of stuff we spoke about today, a lot of people haven't heard it. And so, we might complain so much in the lectures, we don't hear anything that's, worth listening to. I mean, knowledge is there if we read and if we ask the right people. But then if we just claim things and shout things and jump to conclusions before seeking knowledge, at least to have, even if you don't agree with what I just spoke about, at least there's something to speak about there, to give and take about. Maybe you guys see, by the way, the homosexual person that I explained this to, what she said to me? She's like, I agree with you. Based on what you said, you can't support homosexuality. She's a homosexual. But she can see, based on this, as a Muslim, why I can't agree with this kind of lifestyle. Because it makes sense. If I want Tawheed, if I want Allah, Tawheed one, then I can only have Jamal and Jalal. Inshallah, I'm going to wrap up there. This is the philosophical understanding of man and woman. And I'm very sorry if maybe I could have done a better job. But inshallah, if you guys can share your ideas, perspectives, opinions, questions, and we will all benefit. And if anything else that someone wants to ask about your service. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum again. We're going to be having a 5-minute break for the brothers and sisters who is hungry. There's some cake, cookies, brownies, fruits, vegetables, water. Help yourself. And inshallah, after 5 minutes, we will have a question and answer. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have questions. There's going to be a lot of questions, but and inshallah, we will proceed. Just a reminder, if you guys went to the picnic on Sunday, please go on to the Al-Huda Youth Facebook page. There's a quick survey. We want to hear from you and how you guys liked it. So Al-Huda Youth, do the survey, and ajarakum Allah, and help yourselves, brothers and sisters. Wassalamu alaikum.